Hello guys, I welcome you all to the session. So continuing with TCS board vita question, today we are going to deal with marathon winner problem. Okay, so in this problem, first let me explain what the problem deals with. Then we look at the problem statement. Okay, see in a marathon there will be multiple participants, right? For this scenario, I'm just going to consider two participants for now. Okay, so let's say we have two participants A and B. They are standing at the starting point. This first line indicates the starting point. Okay, both are standing at the starting line. So what we are going to do is we'll monitor their positions every 2 seconds. Okay, not every second. I'm just going to monitor it every 2 seconds. So this is their initial position at time 0. Both A and B are still at the starting line. Okay, so what happens after 2 seconds? They will start moving. Yes, when they start moving, this will be their positions. Yes, A is leading and B is trailing behind. Okay, so after the next 2 seconds means after 4 seconds. Okay, after 4 seconds, they'll still be moving. So A is still ahead, B is trailing behind. Okay, so like this, if they keep moving, observe after 6 seconds, A is ahead. After 8 seconds, A is ahead. After 10 seconds, also A is leading. But after 12 seconds, both A and B are along the same line. And after 14 seconds, look at this, B has overtaken A, right? B has overtaken A and B has reached the finish line first, right? In general marathon, what will we say? Whoever reaches the finish line first, that person is the winner. That is our usual assumption, right? In this case, B has reached the finish line first. So, not naturally, what will we assume? That B, the one who reached finish line first, is the winner according to us, right? This is our usual calculation. But in this problem, what we are going to do is the problem is going to be a little different, right? Instead of finding out who reaches the finish line first, we are going to find out who was leading most of the time. Okay, I'm not going to see who reaches finish line first. I will see throughout the race, throughout the marathon, which person was leading majority. Was it A that led majority times, or was it B that led the majority times? That is what we are going to check here. Okay, so again, starting from the first, A and B are at the starting position. Yes, the race is not yet started. Time is still 0. Time is 0, which means the race hasn't started it, right? What did I tell you? You will not monitor who reaches the finish line first. We are going to monitor how many times is A leading and how many times is B leading. Okay, based on this value only, will determine the winner. Okay, based on who was leading most of the time, will determine the winner. Okay, so initially the game hasn't started. So initially A was leading 0 times, right? Since the game hasn't started, A's leading count is 0. And what about B? B's leading count is also 0. I hope I made it clear up to this point. Okay. Since we haven't started both A and B, nobody is leading, so count is 0. Now what happens is same. For every 2 seconds we need to monitor. Okay. So after first 2 seconds, now if you observe who is leading now, A is leading, B is trailing behind. Yes. If A is leading, what should you do? You need to count the number of times it is leading. Okay. Monitor for every 2 seconds and count the number of times each person is leading. Okay, so after the first 2 seconds, A is leading. So what should you do here? Increase A's leading count. Initially I said A's leading count is 0. Now this is the first time I'm monitoring. During the first monitoring time, A is leading. So I'm saying A has led the race one time. Okay, A is leading the race once. What about B? B is still trailing only. So B is not leading. So B's leading count will still be 0. Okay, count it, not the current value only. Count the number of times they are leading. Okay, you'll understand better when we proceed. Let me continue after 4 seconds. Okay, so what happens after 4 seconds? Same thing, they will keep moving. Still, after 4 seconds also, A is leading, B is still trailing behind. So what did we say? if A is leading, you need to increase the count. Monitor for every 2 seconds and see who is leading. Even now, A is leading. So, this is the second time I notice that A is leading. Correct? Yes. Last time also A was leading. This time also A is leading. So, this is the second time A is leading. What about B? B's leading count is still 0 only. Okay. Similarly, after 6 seconds. Now also A is leading. So this is the third time A is leading, and for B this is the zeroth time. It hasn't led the race at all. Okay, next after next 2 seconds, which means after 8 seconds. Even now A is leading. So this is the fourth time I notice. The based on my notice only, okay? Not based on each second, based on the time period that we notice. So what happens here? Even after the eighth second, A is leading. So A is leading for the fourth time. What about B? B hasn't led the race at all. So B's leading count is 0. Clear? Okay. So next we'll move on to 10 seconds. So after 10 seconds also, even now also A is leading. So this is the fifth time I notice that A is leading. Clear? This is the fifth time A is leading the race and B hasn't led the race at all. So B's leading count is 0. Okay. Now next time what happens is both A and B are on the same line. There are two ways for looking at this. Okay. When both A and B are on the same line, you can say both are leading because there will be other participants also. Yes. So I can say that both are leading or both are trailing, right? Since there are only two participants here, I'm going to say both are leading the race. Okay. It is not that only A is leading the race. It is not that only B is leading the race. Okay. Both A and B are in the same position, which means both are leading the race. So what should you do? Since both of them are leading, increase the count for both of them. Okay. So A's leading count increases as 6. And what about B? So far we said B is not leading the race at all. But this time, since both are on the same line, we have to consider B is also leading the race. Okay. So in that case, what happens? B's leading count changes as 1. Am I making clear up to this point? Okay. So I know that A has led the race 6 times and B has led the race only once. Okay. Now this is after 12 seconds. Let us monitor after 14 seconds. Look at this. What happens after 14 seconds? B reaches the final line. This is what happened in the previous scenario also. B reaches the final line. Notice the leading count. Now, which person is leading? Is A leading or B leading? B is leading the race. Yes, since B is leading the race, leading count of A will be 6 only, but leading count of B will be incremented as 2. Okay, we have the leading count of A and we have the leading count of B. Okay, generally, how will you announce the winner? The winner will be announced based on whoever reaches the finishing line first. In this case, since B has reached the finishing line first, we will say B is the winner. That is our natural process, right? But for this problem alone, look at the data. A was leading 6 times, B was leading the race only 2 times. Yes, so the leading count of A is greater than leading count of B. Do you all agree with that? Yes, leading A was leading the race most of the time. That is what I mean by this. Most of the time, A was leading the race. Okay, B was leading the race only 2 times. So even though B reached the final line first, who are we going to consider as the winner? We'll consider A as the winner. Can you all understand why? Because A was leading most of the time. So for this problem, you will not consider the distance covered by them. Okay. See, B has covered the full distance first, right? B has covered the full distance first. But I will not consider the distance covered by them. We will only consider their leading count. Based on their leading count only, everything is going to be determined. So I hope I made this clear. Okay. Now if you take a look at the problem statement, you'll be able to understand it better. Look at this marathon winners problem description. Yes, a race is generally organized by distance, but this race will be organized by time. Yes, this race will be organized by time. So what did I tell you about that? Distance means whoever covers the entire distance first, usually we will consider him as the winner. But in this problem, you will not monitor who covers the distance first. You will monitor who leads the race most number of times. Okay, that will be the important point here. Yes, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to collect all the points which is needed for us to solve the problem. Okay, so what is the first point we have here? The race is organized based on time. Okay, so I'll note it down. Winner is predicted based on time, right? I told you how it works. Based on who leads most number of times, winner is going to be predicted. This is the first point. Look at the second point. In order to predict the winner, we will check every 2 seconds. Do you all see that? Yes. So what should you do? You should not check it throughout the race. Don't check it throughout the race. Check it only for every 2 seconds, which means starting from the second, then you will go to fourth second, sixth second, and this goes on. Okay. So to predict the winner, you need to check their positions. Check who is leading. When should you check that? After every 2 seconds. Yes. So this is another data we need. What is the data we have here? Check the positions every 2 seconds. See, this is what we call as this term. The term is called as time slice. Okay. Given a period of time, for example, in the previous scenario, we had 14 seconds. Yes, until the match was completed, we had 14 seconds. But did we consider all 14 seconds? No, we split them. How did we split them? Based on this time slice only. What is the time slice? 2 seconds. So we split them as 2 seconds in the first slice, 2 seconds in the second slice, 2 seconds in the third slice. Like that, we will split the time. That is what I call as time slice. Okay. Next point. Let's say total race time is 7 seconds. We will check for 7 minus 1 second. What do you observe here? If the total race time is 7 seconds, we will not check for the entire 7 seconds. We will check only for 7 minus 1 second, which means the last second is not taken into consideration. Okay. Even though you have 7 seconds, don't consider the last second. Check until previous. Okay. Look at this point. For 7 seconds, we will check for 7 minus 1 second. Ignore the last second. That is what they mean here. Okay. So, in this case, what should you say? Position check is done for total time period minus 1. Okay. We will not check throughout the time period. Ignore the last second. So, total time period minus 1. We will check only for this, this part. Okay. Next one. Look at the next line. For 7 seconds, see, generally, when I displayed the image, I started from 0th second. Yes, 0th second is nothing but the initial position. So, you don't have to start from 0th second. Look at this. We will check who is leading at 2 second, 4 second, and 6 seconds. So, you need to start checking from the uh, first time slot. Okay, what is the first time slot? 2 seconds. Yes, so always start checking from 2 seconds. After 2 seconds, go to 4th second. After that, go to 6th second. So is it clear? Okay, don't start from 0th second. Don't start from the first second. Directly start from second. Okay, so start checking from the second. Next point, participant who's leading more number of times is winner. I think I've made this point clear. Yes, when A and B are competing, it doesn't matter who reaches the final line first. All that is important is who is leading the most of the time. Yes, so that is the next point we need here. Participant with most leading count is the winner. Okay, next, look at the notes they are given here. Your task is to predict a winner in this marathon. So they will provide you with the marathon details. What we are going to do is we are going to predict the winner in this marathon. Okay. So look at the notes they are given here. A particular time, let's say at 4th second, top 2 participants are at same distance. Okay. See, let me say there are 4 participants. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Out of these 4 participants, let us say 2 participants are leading. Okay. So participant 2 is leading and participant 4 is also leading. Can you understand this? We have 4 participants. I am monitoring which one is leading. But in this scenario, what happens is not just one participant is leading, 2 participants are leading. Who are the 2 participants? Second participant and fourth participant. Both are leading. Okay. When both are leading, look at this point. When both are leading, we will increase the count for both. Okay. If 2 persons are leading, increase the count for both of them. What if 3 persons are leading? What if 3 persons are leading? In that case, increase the count for all 3 of them. Okay, that is what they mean here. It is not just top 2. If n persons are leading, top n means n persons are leading, then increase the count for all n. Okay, so if you notice that many participants are leading, then consider the count for all of them, increase the leading count for all of them. If you remember, in the previous problem, during 12th second, what happened was A and B both were in the same line. So at that point, I told you, if both are at the same line, increase the count for both of them, right? That is the point I have said here. Okay, if 2 persons or if 3 participants or 4 participants are leading, you should just increase the count for all the participants. Clear? Okay, we'll note it down. If 2 participants are at same leading position, then count is increased for both. Okay, remember this. When both are in leading position, increase the count for both of them. Yes. Now look at the second point in the note. After calculating at all time slices, if number of times someone is leading is same for 2 participants, then one who comes first in input sequence will be the winner. See, your input sequence contains 4 participants. Participants 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, I have 4 participants. See, 1 is leading 5 times. Okay, 2 is leading 7 times. 3 is leading 6 times and 4 is leading 7 times. Okay, this is how I have the data. There are 4 participants and we have their leading count. Okay, so now what happens is there are 2 persons that were leading for the majority of time. Who are the 2 persons that were leading? Participant 2 was leading and participant 4 is also leading. Yes, both participants 2 and 4 are leading. So in this scenario, who should be considered as the winner? Is it participant 2 or is it participant 4? That is what they say here as the one who comes first. The one who comes first in input sequence will be the winner. Okay. So in your input sequence, first they'll give the details for participant 1. Then you'll move to participant 2, participant 3, participant 4. Yes. So who comes first in the input sequence? Participant 2 comes first in the input sequence. Is that clear? Okay. Based on the input order, which participant comes first? Second participant. So your winner will be second participant. Is that clear? Okay. So that is what they have said in the example. If 2 and 3 are leading, then your participant 2 will be the winner, because participant 2 comes first in the input sequence. Okay, so this is the question. All right, so participant is race is organized based on time. You will monitor for every 2 seconds. Based on who is leading the most number of times, we will determine the winner. Okay, so I hope the problem statement is clear. If the problem statement is clear, we'll be able to work with the problem also. Okay, now we'll note down the last point because we need the last point. What does the last point say? Whoever comes first in the input sequence is considered as the winner. Yes, note down the point. At the end of the marathon, so after the marathon, if 2 participants are leading, then participant with lower index is leading. What do we mean by lower index? Lower index means, for example, if I have 4 participants, who will come first in the input sequence? Participant 2 will come first in the input sequence. Yes, so if 2 and 4 are leading, 2 will come first in the input sequence because the input sequence is given in ascending order only. Okay, first they'll tell about first participant, then participant 2, then participant 3. So if you need the first person in input sequence, just consider the participant with a lower value. That's it. Can you all understand this? Since the order will be in ascending order, whoever has the least value, that person will come first in the input sequence. So this is the problem statement. Okay. Now look at the input format and output format. First line contains a single integer n denoting the number of participants. So in the first line we will say number of participants. It will not be 2 participants or 3 participants all the time. We may also have 20, 30, 100 participants. Anything is possible. Okay. Look at the second line. Second line contains t denoting the total time. Okay. This is the total time in seconds. Alright. The first line we have n number of participants. In t we have total time in seconds. Okay. In the next n lines, for example, if I say n value is 3, what do I mean if n value is 3? I have how many participants? 3 participants. So what happens is in the next 3 lines, they will give data for each participant. Is that clear? Okay. If there are 3 participants, they will give data for all the 3 participants. Yes. And how is this data given? We have t plus 1 integers separated by a space. What does this t indicate? T denotes the total time in seconds. Let me assume the total time is 8 seconds. Okay, if the total time is 8 seconds, what should you know? Where are the players throughout these 8 seconds, right? Only when you know their positions, you will be able to say which person is leading, right? So in this case, what they'll do is, we have t plus 1 integers separated by space. T is 8. So what is t plus 1? 9 integers. Okay, let me represent this, only then you'll understand. In the first line, we will have n value. What does n value indicate? Number of participants. Okay, in the first line we have n value, that indicates the number of participants. In the second line we have the total time period of marathon. This is given in terms of seconds only, not in minutes. Okay, the total marathon time is given. Okay, now what do they say? After this we will have n lines. If I have 3 participants, I am going to give the data for participant 1, participant 2 and participant 3. Can you understand this? Yes. Since I have 3 participants, I'll provide data for all the 3 participants. Now, what is the data I'm going to provide? This is not just one data. You need to know where are the participants throughout the match. Yes, the match is going on for how many seconds? 8 seconds. So, we need to know their positions throughout these 8 seconds, right? So, they will give you multiple inputs here, okay? And array will be provided. Can you understand this? What does this mean? This is going to tell you the position of the participants throughout these 8 seconds. Okay. So this array indicates position of participant 1 throughout 8 seconds. Second array indicates position of participant 2 throughout the 8 seconds. Third array indicates position of participant 3 throughout the 8 seconds. Am I making it clear for all of you? Yes, this is just the input format. What do we have? Number of participants, total time period, and the positions of all the participants. Okay. Now, let me just explain how this data is going to be. Okay. Consider any one participant. For example, I am going to consider first participant. If you consider the participant 1, the first box, this is our first box, right? The first box indicates, okay, look at this. We have how many boxes? 9 boxes. If you remember in the question, they said we will be provided with t plus 1 data, right? You will be provided with t plus 1 data. If t is 8, we are provided with 9 data sets. Is that clear? If t is 8, we are provided with 9 data sets. Let me explain what is this data. Okay. See, the first cell indicates number of steps taken in first second. Can you understand this? Yes. The first box indicates number of steps taken in first second. For example, the participant may take 2 steps or 3 steps or 4 steps, right? Based on the steps only, we can determine who is leading. So, first cell indicates number of steps taken in first second. So, obviously, what is the second cell indicating? Number of steps taken in second. Okay. And third cell indicates number of steps taken in third second. Is it clear? So like this it goes on. This is 4th second, 5th second, 6th second, 7th second and 8th second. This is number of steps taken in the 8th second. Okay. The race goes on for how many seconds? The race continues. The marathon continues for 8 seconds. And this last 8th box indicates number of steps taken in 8th second. Correct. Yes. Now, what is this 9th box then? Race is taking place for 8 seconds. I have told you the number of steps taken in each second. So what about this 9th box? Why do we have this 9th box? Now you take the look at the input format. Look at this. T plus first. T plus first is the 9th box. Yes, denotes the distance in meters of each step. It denotes the distance in meters of each step. Can you all understand this? Yes, T plus first integer denotes the distance covered in meters for each step. Okay, so this is nothing but distance covered in each step. What do we mean by the distance covered? So let us analyze how this works, then we shall start coding. Okay. See, let me consider some random sample data. Okay, so this data says, what is this data saying? Did you understand what happened in the previous part? What will the data say? The first slide will say number of steps taken in the first second. Yes, first cell represents number of steps taken in the first second. All right. So how many steps are taken in the first second? 2 steps are taken in the first second. Clear? First cell contains 2, which means 2 steps are taken in first second. So what does this one indicate? 2 steps are taken in second. Next, 4 steps are taken in third second, and this goes on, right? So now we'll start working on the problem. Okay, consider we have a marathon track. Okay, this is the track we have here. Okay, let me index it. This is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 and it goes on till step 14. I can represent only till step 14, but there are infinite steps. Assume like that. Okay, starting from first step there are infinite steps. We are working with which participant here? Participant 1. Initially, let me name him as A. Okay, instead of having numbers, because I don't want to confuse you, so instead of having it as participant 1, I'll have it as participant A. Initially, participant A hasn't started the race. Yes, so this is nothing but initial position. If I haven't started the race, initial position of the participant is at 0th index. Is it clear? Okay, so what happens after this? Participant A is at 0th index. What happens after first second? After 1 second, A will move by how many steps? We have the data. A will move by 2 steps. Yes, so 2 steps means A will not stand here. A will go to 2. Is it clear? Okay, so after 2 seconds, A will move to the second step. How do we calculate this? The current position is calculated as, see, let us consider the initial position is 0. Okay, so how will I calculate the current position? That 0 plus the number of steps taken. Yes, this 0 plus the number of steps taken. So 0 plus 2 has given me the result as 2. That is how I determined A is standing at second position. Okay, similarly, what happens after 2 seconds? At time 2, observe this, at time 2. What happens after 2 seconds? A moves 2 more steps. If A moves 2 more steps, 1 step means it will go to 3. 2 steps means it will go to 4. Okay, from A, it is moving 2 more steps. So now A will move from 2 to 4. Can you understand this? A has moved from 2 to 4. Now what can I say? The current position is again calculated as, what did we add here? This position plus the number of steps, right? This position plus number of steps will give you the current position. So 2 plus 2 has given us the answer as 4. Okay, what happens after 3 seconds? At time 3, we are standing at 4th position. At time 3, how many steps are taken? 4 steps are taken. You should be able to answer this directly. We are standing at 4th position. At time 3, 4 steps are taken. So what will be the position of A now? Position of A will be 8th position, right? From 4, it has taken 4 steps. So it will move to 8th position. So what is the calculation we did here? Current position is equal to 4 plus 4. Okay, adding the current position plus number of steps taken. When you add these two values, you will get the result as 8. Okay, one more data, we'll work with it. Now we are standing at the 8th position. Let me consider we have completed 4 seconds. Okay, position of participant at time 4. At time 4, the number of steps is 3. Yes, at 4th second, A will move by 3 steps. Where is A standing now? A is standing at 8th position. So if it moves by 3 steps, from 8, it will move by 3 steps. So where will it stand? Yes, you should be able to answer from 8, it will move by 3 steps. So it will come to 11. Right, like this it will keep moving. So what is the current position? It is nothing but 8 plus 3, which is 11. So can you derive a kind of formula for this? What is the formula? You can say current position is nothing but previous position plus number of steps taken. Yes, previously where you were standing plus the number of steps taken will give you the new position. So am I making it clear up to this? Yes. So what have we done here? We are just calculating the position of A based on the number of steps given. Okay. Now we spoke about the last cell in the array. What does the last cell indicate? The last cell indicates distance covered in each step. Do you all remember this? We already discussed it. In the input format they told you the last cell indicates distance covered in each step. See, generally we will assume, for example, let me say there are two participants A and B. Okay. See, consider there are two participants A and B. They are both standing at the same position. I am telling you, A moves by 2 steps and B moves by 2 steps. So if I tell you like this, A will move from here to 2 steps ahead. B will move from here to 2 steps ahead. Yes, this is what we'll assume. If both are moving 2 steps, then distance covered by both of them is the same. That is our assumption. But in this problem, what happens is A moves by 2 steps and covers 5 meter in each step. Can you understand this? A moves by 2 steps and covers 5 meters in each step. Similarly, B moves by 2 steps and covers 3 meter in each step. This is the problem statement. Understand the problem statement. A moves by 2 steps and covers 5 meters in each step. So what is the total distance covered? 2 into 5. 2 into 5, which is 10 meter. Okay, A has covered 10 meter. What about B? B moves by 2 steps and covers 3 meter in each step. In one step, 3 meters. So in 2 steps, 2 into 3, which is 6 meter. Okay, so what happens now? A will be 10 meters ahead. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A is 10 meters ahead. What about B? B will be 6 meters ahead. So B will be here. Can you understand this? Yes, both are moving by 2 steps. Observe, both are moving by 2 steps, but the distance covered by them is different. Okay, so what happens? A is leading and B is trailing. This is the most important point in the problem. Okay, you can't just directly consider the steps. Along with the steps, you should also consider the distance covered by them. Is it clear? Okay. So we should know how to calculate the distance covered. Okay, it is not sufficient if you know only the steps covered. You should also know their current position. How can you? Because only when you know their current position, you can say who is leading. Yes, that is our ultimate point here. We need to know who is leading. See, if both are taking 2 steps, I cannot say both are leading. I need to know their position. Only based on their position, I can tell which one is leading, right? So to do this, let us continue with the calculation part here. Okay, so the same data 2, 2, 4, 3, 5, 2, 6, 2. Now what do we know? The last cell indicates distance covered in each step. So what is the distance covered in each step? 3 meters. Okay, the distance covered in each step is 3 meter. Now, so what does it indicate? Distance covered in one step is 3 meter. What about 2 steps? 6 meter. 3 steps, 9 meters. So generalize this. What can I say? The distance covered in n steps is 3 into n, right? Because in one step 3 meters means in n steps it is going to be 3 into n. What is this 3? Where did I get this 3 from? This 3 is nothing but distance covered in each step. This 3 is distance covered in each step. So with this distance covered, multiply the number of steps. Okay, distance covered in one step into number of steps. Is this clear? This is the formula to calculate the distance covered. Just calculate distance covered in one step into number of steps. That will give you the total distance. Okay, so now again if I work for the same problem, what will happen? A is standing at the starting position. It hasn't started yet. Time is 0. Okay, this is the initial setup. Now what happens at time 1? At time 1, A is moving by how many steps? 2 steps. Listen carefully. When I say 2 steps, don't directly place it at 2. In one step, it will cover 3 meters. Right? That is what we understood. In one step, it will cover 3 meters. So, in 2 steps, it will cover 6 meters. Okay? So, from the 0th position, A will move to 6th position. Can you all understand why? Yes. In one step, 3 meters means in 2 steps, it will cover 6 meters. This is the number of meter. Okay. So it has covered 6 meter. A has reached 6. How did we calculate this value? To calculate the current position, we are adding the previous position with this product. Yes. 2 into 3 is multiplied and the product is added to the current position. That is what we did. From the current position, total distance covered. Okay. So 0 plus 2 into 3, which is 6. We'll just work on 2 more cases for better understanding. Okay. At time 2, after 2 seconds, what is the number of steps taken in 2 seconds? We are taking 2 steps in 2 seconds, right? So in this scenario, what will happen? When I say 2 steps, you should not directly move it to 8. What should you do here? You should calculate the distance covered. Calculate the distance covered by multiplying these two. Okay. What is 2 into 3? 2 into 3 is 6. So it will move by 6 meters. From where? From this position, it will move by 6 meters. Clear? So from 6, it will move by 6 meters, which means A will be at 12. Can you all understand how it works? Okay. Don't directly say the answer. Multiply, add it to the previous result. Right. So current position is product plus previous position. Okay. So write down the formula for this. What will be the formula? Current position is nothing but previous position. Wherever it was standing previously plus current distance covered. If I have covered 6 meters to the previous position, add 6 meter. If I have covered 10 meter to the previous position, add 10 meters. That is the concept. Okay. So let us code it till this point. Okay. What did they tell us about the input? They said the first line will contain n. Do you remember the input? First line contains a single integer n denoting the number of participants. Okay. Single integer n. So scan the value of n. And second line contains a single integer t denoting the total time in seconds. Yes. So you will have the variable time. Instead of having it as t, I'll have it as time. So this will be the second input. I'll write the scanfs individually to avoid confusions. This will be the second input. After this, what will happen? You will have n lines for each participant. Yes, if I have 3 participants, we have already discussed this. If I have 3 participants, we will have 3 lines. What do these 3 lines indicate? The data for each participant, right? So how could I store this data? Is it efficient to use 3 single arrays or can we use just 2D array? What will be the best solution here? Using a two-dimensional array. Okay, let's get really comfortable with the 2D array. Even if you don't get comfortable with 2D array, at least know how to access the values in a 2D array. Okay, so for example, let me consider this is the data we have. Okay, n is equal to 3 and t is equal to 8. We have these two data. Now n is equal to 3 means how many participants? 3 participants. t is equal to 8 means 8 indicates the time slice. What did they tell you? The input will have t plus 1. T plus 1 data. What is this last data? Remember, what is this last data? This last data indicates distance covered in each step. What about the remaining data? Yes. What about the remaining data? The remaining data is nothing but steps taken. Steps taken in each second. So this is the step taken in 1 second, 2 second, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this is the distance covered. Can you all understand this? This is how the data is portrayed for us. Here what will happen is, starting from, if you have 8 second, number of steps in each second is given. With this steps and along with the distance, we are going to calculate the position. Okay. So my question is, how can I store the data of all three participants? How shall we store the data of all three participants? To store their data, we are just going to use a 2D array. Okay. Imagine your array to be like this. Is it clear? Okay. The same data, whichever data is given here, I'm not taking it as three separate arrays. I'll take it as one 2D array. Is it clear? Okay. So in this 2D array, as we know, the first 8 cells indicates the steps taken. Right? The first 8 cells indicates the step and the last cell indicates the distance. Is it clear? Okay. So this is nothing but a single 2D array. Okay. When I say it is a 2D array, most of the cases what we'll do is, how will we imagine a 2D array? A 2D array is imagined as a table format, right? So imagine this as a table. Array index always start from 0. So this is row 0, row 1, row 2. This is column 0, column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Usually you will take it as 1 to 9. But here, since it is an array, index will start from 0. Okay. So this is participant 1, participant 2, participant 3. Is it clear? Participant 1 has index 0. Participant 2 has index 1. Okay. So now what are the, first we'll declare this. This is to store the number of steps. Okay. So have a 2D array. To store the number of steps, I'll have it as 10 cross 10. Guys, better solution is using dynamic memory allocation only. Okay, but I don't want to complicate the problem, so I'm just using static allocation. If you know dynamic allocation, substitute it. Okay, use that method. Don't use static allocation. Okay, so here we are going to store the steps covered. Yes, in that case we will need the row index value and we'll need the column index value. Yes, because we imagine this as a table. Guys, imagine it as a table, then it will be easier for us. Okay, so it will be a row value and this will be the column value. So have row value and column value. How are they going to give us the data? First they'll give the data for participant 1, right? First, they'll give the data for participant 1. For participant 1, how many datas will be given? 9 datas will be given. So, for participant 1, index starts from 0 to 8. What is this 8? For participant 1, index starts from 0 to maximum time. That's it, right? If it is 8, last index will be 8 because you have 9 elements. For 9 elements, the last index is going to be 8. So the last index will always be the t value. Can you understand this? For columns, the last index will always be t value. Okay. So first, let us get the details of first participant. Okay. So what is changing for the first participant? Row number is same, but the column number changes for the first participant. Right. So change the column number. Column number starts from 0. Column less than or equal to. Less than or equal to the time. Column less than or equal to time. Column plus plus. Is it clear? So scanf percentage %d. What are we going to store? The number of steps. The number of steps in a 2D array, the first index is the row index, second one is the column index. For which participant we are working here? For the 0th participant. So steps of 0. Row is 0. Column is not a fixed column. It keeps changing, right? So use the variable column. So I hope I made it clear up to this. What are we doing here? We are scanning the details of first participant only. Then what should you do? Repeat the same process and scan the details of second participant. So first time I will do it for the first participant. Next time do the same process for the second participant. So what does it mean? This time what has to change? The row value has to change. Okay. Just like scanning a matrix. So repeat the same process for all the participants. Okay. The scanning process will be repeated for all the participants. Clear? This is the scanning process repeated for all the participants. So where should you start from? We can start from 0th participant. Right. If you have 3 participants, start from 0th participant. So row value starts from 0. Each time row plus plus. And what is the condition here? If I have 3 participants, last index is 2, right? If we have 3 participants, last index is 2, because generally for any array, if you have n elements, last index is n minus 1. So what can I say? The row value starts from 0 and proceeds till less than n, or you can have it as n minus 1 also. So if you have 3 participants, row value starts from 0 and proceeds till less than n. Row value starts from 0 and proceeds till less than n. This is clear? This is one. Okay, so in the input part, you need to get it for all the participants, which means first time we'll store it for 0th row. Next time we'll store it for the next participant. So row numbers should keep changing, right? So this is not 0 all the time, have the row index. So this is nothing but the scanning part. After scanning, what did I tell you to do? Calculate the distances, right? See, when you calculate the distances, let us first work for one participant and repeat it for all the participants, okay? Taking participant 1 only. Okay, I'm going to copy this and paste it individually so that we don't get any confusions. Number of participants is 3. Time given for us is 8 seconds. Right? How will I calculate the distance? See, for our convenience, what we can do is, let us not disturb this array. The step array should not be disturbed at all. We'll create another array called as distance. Is it clear? We are going to create another array called as distance. That is also a 2D array, because for multiple participants, right? Creating another array called as distance. What is the purpose of this array? This array will store the distance covered by all the participants. Am I making it clear? Yes, this is going to store distance covered by all the participants. Why should we calculate the distance? I told you already, based on the steps, you cannot determine anything. You should know the distance, because even if I take 2 steps, in one step I am going to cover how many meters? 3 meters. Yes. So what is the total distance that will be covered? How did we calculate it? The distance covered is nothing but 2 into 3. How do you calculate the distance covered? The distance covered is number of steps into number of steps. 2 is the number of steps. Number of steps into distance covered in each step. Okay. Distance covered is equal to number of steps into distance covered in each step. Can you all understand this? Yes, the total distance covered is number of steps. If I take 2 steps and in one step if I cover 3 meters, in 2 steps I will cover 6 meters. Okay. So first let us calculate the distance covered. The distance covered is equal to number of steps. Which one has the number of steps? The step array has the number of steps. Yes. So from the step array, choose a row and column. Can you understand this? For anything, choose a row and column. In this case, we are going to choose 0, 0. Okay. Number of steps is multiplied with distance covered in each step. Okay. How can we calculate the distance covered in each step? So how can we calculate the distance covered in each step? We can calculate it as the whatever steps we have considered into last value. Do you remember? The last value will give you the distance covered in each step. How can I access the last value? In the step array, go to the same row, whichever row you are working with, go to the same row, take the last index. What did we say? The last index is same as time index. Yes, step of row of time. Can you all understand this? Okay, steps of row of time. What do we mean by that? With this, multiply the distance covered. The distance covered is last index. So the formula is steps of row and column, which is some cell. Some cell is denoted as row and column, that is multiplied with last cell. Can you understand this? Steps of row column is multiplied with the last cell. So when you multiply it with the last cell, you will get the distance covered. We'll do that here. Row column is multiplied with last cell. Row of time. Okay, so now I have the distance covered. How will you calculate the position? See, in the first case, 2 into 3, the distance covered is 6. So after 1 second, I would have covered 6 meters, right? After 1 second, we cover 6 meters. What about this case? Then you will multiply 2 into 3. Again, you will get 6. So can I say I have covered 6 meters? No. Already I have covered 6 meters. So right now, 6 plus 6, my position will be 12 meters. Then 4 into 3 is another 12. Already I have covered 12 meter. Now if you add another 12 meter, your result will be 24 meters, right? So what do you observe here? The current distance is nothing but previous distance plus distance covered. Yes, if I have covered 6 meters already and if I am covering 6 meters now, add both the values, you will get the result as 12. Is it clear? Okay. So the current distance is equal to distance of row column. Current distance is equal to previous distance. Where do we have the previous distance? In the same row, previous column indicates previous distance. Yes, in the same row, previous column. So column minus 1 indicates previous distance. Add the distance covered. Clear? In the same row, take the previous distance. Taking the previous distance is going to work for all the columns, right? For the first one, you will add it with the previous 6. For this next one, you will add it with the previous 12 meters. Yes? But what about the first distance? Initially, we will start at 0 meters, right? Initially, I'll start at 0 meters, which means for the first data alone, only for the first data, the previous distance is going to be 0 plus distance covered. Is it clear? For all the other data, there will be some distance covered already, right? But only for the first data, it will be 0 plus distance covered. Clear? So 0 plus the distance covered. For which data? For the first data. How will you know that it is a first data? The first data will lie in the 0th column. Can you understand? Yes, for the first data, which will lie in the 0th column, see, if column is equal to 0, that is the first data. Yes, for the first data, distance of, generally what is the formula? Distance of row column is equal to previous distance plus distance covered. This is what we said. Yes, but only for the first data, the previous distance is no previous distance, which means 0. Okay, just for the first data. For all the other data, you will have some previous data. Take that. Am I making it clear? Yes. Calculate the distance and update the distance array. Yes. So should this be done only for the first column or for all the columns? It should be done for all the columns, which means starting from 0th column till 7th column, not the 8th column, because last column is a different data. Ignore that. Starting from 0th column till, if this is time minus 1. Yes, this is nothing but time minus 1. So starting from 0th column till time minus 1 column, work for all the columns. So this should be repeated for all the columns. 0 till less than time or time minus 1. Work for all the columns. Okay. So when I work for all the columns, I finish the data for one player. Similarly, we have multiple players here, right? It is not sufficient if you calculate the distance of one player alone. Repeat it for all the players. Okay. So whatever procedure we are doing should be repeated for all the players. Okay, this is the procedure we are doing, right? Taking all the columns, calculating the distance. This is the procedure we are doing. This procedure should be repeated for all the players. How will we identify the players? Players are varying along the row numbers, right? Row number indicate the players. So repeat this process for all the rows. For rows equal to 0, row less than, number of players is n. So row less than n, row plus plus. Am I making it clear up to this point? So what are we calculating? Only the distances. Yes. For our verification, I am going to print all the distances. Print of percentage %d distance of row column. Okay. What will this do? After calculating each distance, it will print the distance value. Okay. So once you come out of this loop, when will you finish this loop? If all columns are completed, the loop is completed. If all columns are completed, look at this. If all columns are completed, one participant is completed, right? All columns are completed, one participant is completed. So to indicate that a new participant data is displayed, I'll add a slash in. Okay, what does it mean? That a new participant's data is being displayed. Am I making it clear? Calculate the distance, print the distance. After printing for all cases of the first player, go to the new line and print for the second player. Okay, so I'm going to check this. Okay, we haven't declared distance covered, right? Sorry about that. Distance covered is not declared. Anything else? Right, I'm going to give the input now. See, this is our input values. Okay, we'll enter the input. Remember, what is the first line of input? Indicates the number of players 3. Second line indicates time slice 8. Third line, give the details of first participant. This is the detail of first participant, right? Enter that 2 2 4 3 5 2 6 2 3 for the first participant. For the second one, 3 5 7 4 3 9 322. Second, third participant 124 275 324. Right? Take a look at the output. This is almost a part of what we calculated, right? When we calculated also, we were calculating the values as 6, 12 and 24. And here also, we get the values as 6, 12, 24 and further calculations also. Okay. Guys, if you need even more calculation examples, let me know. I'll give you some more examples in the doubt clearing session also. Okay. For now, if you know the calculation, fill up the table. This is the data you will get. So what do these values indicate? These values are distance covered by the participants. Okay. So let me tabulate these values. Okay. So here we have the tabulated values, right? So this is nothing but distance covered by the participants. Okay. We have our distance array like this. This is the distance covered by the participants. Okay. So what does it mean? The first column indicates distance after 1 second. Remember, first cell indicates distance after 1 second. After 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have the distance at the end of every second. So at the end of 8 seconds, this is the final distance. Okay. I have the distance calculated so far. Okay. Next, what should we do? After calculating the distance, why did we calculate the distance first of all? We calculated the distance because we need to find who is leading. Yes, which participant is leading. To find that, should we check all the seconds? Remember the problem? I'll show you the points which we collected. When I read the questions, we wrote down a few points, right? What are the points we said? You need to check the position every 2 seconds, right? The position of all players should be checked every 2 seconds. First point. Position of all players should be checked every 2 seconds. Right. So, can I start from the first second? No, that is also said already. Start checking from the second. Okay. This is said in the question already. Start checking from 2 seconds. So if you start checking from 2 seconds, you will start from this column. Is it clear? This is time 1, this is time 2. Okay. According to time, this is 2 seconds because time starts from 1. But according to our column value, column will start from 0. Right? Column will start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, if time is 2 seconds, column is 1. Can you understand? If time is 2 seconds, column is 1. So, start searching from the first column. Okay? Start searching from the first column. Okay? Start searching from first column. We'll come back to the condition part. What should we do now? After checking the first column, what did they tell you? Check it for 2-second time slice. Right? 2-second time slice. The time slice is 2 seconds. So after checking for 2 seconds, you should move to the 4th second. Right? After 2 seconds, move to 4th second. After 4th second, go to 6th second. After 6th second, go to 8th second. Like this, it goes on. Right? So how much are we incrementing? From first column, go to 3rd, go to 5th, go to 7th. Which means column is equal to column plus 2. Increment part, column equal to column plus 2. What about the condition? The condition is checked. Position check is done for a duration of total time period minus 1. You should not consider the entire time period. If your time period is 8, check only till 8 minus 1. Is this clear? Yes. So here, if I have 8 columns, you should not check for the 8th value. You should check only till 7th second. Is that clear? Don't check for the 8th second. So this should not be checked. So I'll proceed as 2 seconds. I will not consider the last second. So how many comparisons are we doing here? 3 comparisons. Is this clear? Okay. So what is the condition here? Column will proceed till time minus 1. Don't proceed till time. Last time should not be considered. So proceed till time minus 1. This is clear? So when you do this, we'll start from first column, then we'll go to third column, then we'll go to fifth column. Okay? In each column, what should we do? We are moving through the columns. For what purpose? To check the participant position. Yes, you need to compare the position of all the participants. Let me collect this data individually. Look at this data alone. Participant 0, 1 and 2. Okay. Look at this data alone. I am working for time 2 seconds. When the time is 2 seconds, participant 0 is at 12 meter. Participant 1 is at 16 meter and participant 2 is at 12 meters. Yes. Now what should you say? Participant 1 is leading. We need to say that. That is the purpose, right? So what should you do? Compare between the rows. In the same column, compare all the rows. Can you understand this? Yes. When I consider one column, in this column, take all the rows. So how can I take all the rows? Row starts from 0, row less than n, row plus plus. Is this clear? When I take one column, for that column, we'll consider all the rows. Yes, when you consider all the rows, what should you do? You are supposed to find the maximum row. Okay, so have a variable named as max, initialize it to 0. Have a variable named as max, initialize it to 0. So how will you find the maximum? Maximum if distance of row column. Max procedure is easy only, right? If distance of row column is greater than max value, if the current distance is greater than max value, then what should you do? Update max value. Right? When I find someone to be the maximum, what will I do? I'll update that person as the maximum value. This is clear? Okay. So why do we do this? Do I need the value 16 or do I need the participant? Think about it. Is it the value that is required or is it the participant? We need the participant. Yes. Who is leading? We need to know which person is leading. Only then I can increase the count for him. Right? Whichever person is leading, you should increase the count for him. Can you all understand this? Yes. You are going to count the number of times he is leading. So see which person is leading. Can you all understand this? Yes. So how can I see which person is leading? The row number will tell you. The row number will tell you which person is leading. Okay. So the row number is nothing but the leading person. Is this clear? When you get the maximum, get the leading person name also. Okay. So have a variable named as lead. I hope I made this clear. I'm storing which person is leading. Okay. So let me check this. Printf at time percentage d, leading person is percentage d. Okay, at time percentage d, which one is indicating the time? The row value is indicating the person, the column value is indicating the time. Yes, so at time column, leading person is lead. Okay, I'm just printing it for our reference. Okay, at which time who is leading, that is what we are going to print. So here, okay, I need to give the input again. Next time I'll initialize the input values, only then it will be easier for us. Okay. Okay, so when I give the input here, 3, time slice is 8, first participant 2, 2, 4, 3, 5, 2, 6, 2, 3, second participant 3, 5, 7, 4, 3, 9, 3, 2, 2, last participant 1, 2, 4, 2, 7, 5, 3, 2, 4. Okay, take a look at this. At time 1 means 2 seconds. Column 1 means 2 seconds, right? At 2 seconds, who is leading? This is 0th participant, first participant, and second participant. Is this clear? At time 1, first participant is leading. Okay, so second row is nothing but the first participant. At time 1, participant 1 is leading. You get that right? Yes. At time 3, look at the fourth column. At time 3, even now participant 1 is leading, right? At time 5, last participant 2 is leading. So we get the right data here. Is this clear? Okay. So at time 5, leading person is 2. I hope I made this clear up to this point. Now what should you do? You should not print who is the leading person. You need to know the number of times they are leading, which means you should store the count. Okay, you are going to count the number of times they lead. Okay, so see, how can I store it? In this case, for storing the count alone, we will have a array. Okay, I'm going to have an array named as count. We will store the count of 0th participant, first participant, and second participant. Okay, store the count of participants. You are not going to store the count of time periods. How many times is participant 0 leading? How many times is participant 1 leading? So you are going to store the count of participants, which means what should be the size of count? Size of count should be size of number of participants. Okay, storing the count of participants, which means size of count is same as size of number of participants. If the number of participants is 3, count size is also 3. Okay. So first declare a count array of size 3 and initialize values as 0. Initially nobody is leading, so count value is 0. Can you all understand up to this? Okay. We are going to count the number of times they are leading. So at this point, what we'll do is whoever is leading, we have the row number. Yes. If person 1 is leading, his row number is stored. Who is storing it? The lead is storing it. So what you have to do is, once you find the maximum, increases count. Increases count. Which person's count? Not random person's count. The leading person's count. Okay. So count of lead plus plus. Can you all understand up to this? Okay. Count of lead plus plus. Take the leading person and increase this count. Is this clear? Okay. So now, once you finish this process, what should you do? You are supposed to print which person was leading the most number of times, right? But we are forgetting something here. Look at the points. During the marathon, if two participants are at same leading position, count is increased for both. There is a chance that if, for example, if this value is 10, okay, if this value is 10, two persons are leading here, right? Two persons are leading. In that case, you should increase the count for both of them. Can you all understand this? The process which we have done will store only one lead value. But there is a chance that two persons are leading. In that case, what should you do? Store both of their IDs. Yes, you should know both the participants. If two are leading, for both of them, you should increase the count. Which means this lead should store multiple values. Can you understand this? The lead should store multiple values. If it should store multiple values, then lead should be declared as a array. Okay, guys, this point might be a little twisted for some of us, but just listen, you'll get it. Okay, lead should be a array. Let me say the array size is 100. Maximum array size will be 3 only, right? If the number of participants is 3, maximum 3 people can lead. So lead is an array of size 3. Okay. So when you find out a greater value, this is the first maximum. Yes. So lead of 0. When you find the greater value, this is the first maximum. So how will you know if it is the second maximum? If the distance is same as max value, this is the second maximum. Can you understand? First when I see 12, this is the first maximum. Second time when I see 12, this is the repeating maximum. Okay. So the first maximum is stored in lead of 0. The second maximum will be stored in lead of 1. Okay. First will be stored in lead of 0. Second will be stored in lead of 1. If you have one more value, it should be stored in lead of 2. And this goes on, right? So don't have it as 1 directly. Have a variable index. Okay. So first time, store it in index. I cannot say there will be only one more lead. There might be 4 leading persons. There might be 5 leading persons, right? So what you have to do is start index value from 1. Okay. Start index value from 1 because 0 is stored here. Starting from the first index, which means starting from the second value, it will be stored in the else if part. Can you all understand this? Yes. The first occurrence is stored at the 0th index. All the second and third occurrences are stored in the following indexes. Okay. Store it in the following index and increase the index value. Only then, if you store it in first index, next value will be stored in the second index. Can you all understand up to this? Yes, we are storing the leading value for all the indexes. Is this clear? Find the maximum. First maximum will be stored in 0th index. Repeating maximum should be stored in the following values. Okay. So when you increase the count, you should not increase this only for one lead. You have to increase this for all the leading values. Is this clear? If 0 and 2 are leading, you should increase it for all the leading values. Okay. So for all leading values, increase the count. Okay. So how will I identify all the leading values? All leading values are stored in lead array. Yes, all leading values are stored in lead array. So for each value in lead array, increase the count. Can you understand? All the leading values are stored in which array? The leading array. Yes. So for each value in leading array, increase the count. For each value in leading array. Okay. How will you know the number of values in leading array? See, first I will enter the value in 0th index. Yes. First value will be in 0th index. See, let us consider this row. Let us say this is participant 0, 1, 2. Lead. Initially, lead is of size 3. Okay, lead is of size 3. First maximum. What is the first maximum? Participant 0 is the first maximum. So at 0th index, we will store participant 0. Okay. Is 1 a leading number? 1 is not leading. What about 2? 2 is leading. Yes. So what will you do? Index is initialized as 1. So at first index, we will store participant 2 is also leading. Okay. At first index, I am storing participant 2 is leading. After storing it, index plus plus. So now index value changes as 2. Can you understand this? Index value changes as 2. So do we have any other maximum value here? No, we don't have any other maximum value. So lead has 2 values. How could I identify that? Based on the index value. Okay. The last index value indicates number of elements in lead. Can you understand this? The last index value indicates the number of elements, because if I insert at first index, index changes as 2. If I insert at second index, if I add one more element here, index changes as 3. So, index value indicates the number of elements. Can you all understand this? Yes. So, the number of elements is indicated by the last index value. Okay. So now what should you do? Print, take all the values from the lead array. So starting from 0th index till the number of elements, index plus plus, take all the value. Okay. So the value, from which are we going to take the value? From the lead array we will take the value. Okay. Take lead of index. From the lead array, take the value and store it inside count plus plus. Can you understand this? Lead has the participant details. From the lead array, take the count value and store it, increment the value. Can you all understand this? Okay. So, when you do it this way, all the participants will be met. Not just one leading person, we can deal with all the leading persons. Okay. So, I hope I made it clear. Guys, one thing you should know is this is just my way of programming. Okay. It is not compulsory that you have to understand this logic only. You need to understand the concept. But how you code it, how you want to approach the problem is up to you. You can use multiple arrays, or you can finish the entire process in one 2D array also. So more than the programming part, focus on how to approach the problem and don't try to implement the same logic. I don't want you to do that. Understand the logic, create your own program. Okay. So up to this point, we have counted all the leading values. Now what should we do? We should check which participant has the maximum leading value. Okay. So take all the participants. Row starts from 0, row less than n, row plus plus. Considering all participants. Take all the participants and compare their count values. This is clear? Compare their count values. If count of row, if their count value is greater than maximum, then they could be the winner. Right? If their count value is greater than the maximum value, then this person, this row's person could be the winner. Yes? And update the max also. This is how you generally find maximum. What will you do to find maximum? If count of row greater than max, max is equal to count of row. When you find the maximum, you need to know who is the winner, right? So whoever has the maximum count will be the winner. So along with the count value, store the winner's row number also. Okay, we will store the winner's row number. So finally, printf winning participant. The winning participant is whoever is stored in the winner variable, he will be the winning participant. Is that clear? Okay. So, when you start your comparison, set max value as 0 and what else is not declared? The variable winner and number of elements is not declared. Variable winner and number of elements. Okay. So, we will need all these variables. I hope you understood this. Scanning the input. After scanning the input, calculating the distance. With the distance, we are finding at the time slots who is leading. Okay, based on whoever is leading, I am finding out who is the winner. Okay, so according to this calculation, according to our values, who is the winner in this case? Shall we check that? Yes, in first time slot, look at this, in the first time slot, one is leading. Second time slot also, one is leading. Third time slot, two is leading. So who is the winner now? First participant is the winner. So the winning participant is 1. Let me check whether we get that. Okay, we have to enter the inputs now. Yes. Okay, number of participants is 3. Time slab is 8. Enter the details 224352 623 followed by 357439 322 followed by 124275 324. Okay, look at this, look at the last line. The winning participant is 1. Okay, the winning participant is 1. A time one leading person is, this is nothing but the address. See, already we printed it as, I'm just printing lead. Lead is not a single value now. Lead is an array, right? So you need to print it as an array, but we don't need this. This is printed only for your verification purpose. Okay. So I'll remove all the extra printfs here. We don't need all these. That's it. This will be your final program. Okay. So shall we check whether we have covered all the points? If two participants are at same leading position, count is increased for both. We have done this. Winner is predicted on time, completed. Check for 2 seconds, completed. Time period, we have already done this. Start checking from second to second. And participant with the most leads is the winner. We have done that. Yes. And if two participants are at same position, count is increased for both. Done. After marathon, if two participants are leading, lower index is the winner. Okay. So lower index should be the winner. Have we done that? Yes. See, if row 0 is the maximum, then if row 1 is also the maximum, we will consider row 0 only. Right. I am not taking it as equal to. If I take it as equal to, then row 1 also will be considered. But since I haven't considered equal to, only first occurring max value will be taken. Okay. So by default, the first participant will be considered as the winner. Okay. One more thing to be noted here is, guys, see, in the question, okay, let me show you the question. Yeah. Okay, in the output, index of marathon winner, where index starts with 1. Okay, for the participant, see, row number starts with 0. We said row number starts with 0, but participant ID will start with 1. Yes, so when you upload it, sorry, when you print it, don't just print the row number. Winner is nothing but the row number. Don't print the row number, print it as row plus 1. Only then you will get it as participant 1, 2, 3 instead of participant 0, 1, 2. Yes, that's it. So we have completed the program. If you have any doubts, we'll discuss all your doubts in the doubt clearing session. Okay. Thank you, guys.